Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Florida Writer Podcast, brought to you today by the Florida Writers Association. I am Allison Nissen, your host, and today I have with me Donna Gray Banks. Donna, why don't you give me 60 seconds to give me your elevator pitch about who you are and what you write?
My name is Donna Gray Banks, and I write suspenseful erotica about an African-American female who works for a clandestine operation of the United States.
Oh, that sounds intriguing.
Right. And I'm also the director and founder of the Fresh Book Festival, which is one of the largest festivals between, I would say, Miami and Maine, that gears itself towards African-American genre or people of African-American descent who write. So I'm very proud of that.
And what does FRESH stand for?
It stands for fiction, romance, erotica, spiritual, and health. We didn't want to leave anybody out. So anyone who writes in those genres, and if those genres do not capture what you write, then we have a little box that says other. But it really, because H could be health, H could be historical, right? So we really wanted to try to identify each genre so they could be a part of the festival.
And what time of year do you hold the festival?
Well, if you're not familiar with the state of Florida, there's an event that goes on here every other week. So you have to be very strategic about when you give your event. So we are on the second week in January of every year. And the good thing about it is because everybody's trying to get away from the cold, so they want to come to Florida to get warmed up and go to the beach. And it starts the season of events. So we don't get tied up in the Black History. We don't get tied up in the NASCAR. We don't get tied up in the Bike Week. We don't get tied up into MLK. So we are put right at the first of the year.
That sounds very intriguing. And what was the reason you decided to have this festival?
There are so many writers and nationality and money has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that most of us are introverts. So we write these books and then we say, oh, why isn't anyone buying it? Well, because they don't know you have it. And so it gives the writer the ability to come out, meet people, talk about what they write, convince people that what they write is worth reading. And just because we think it's good as writers doesn't mean that someone else will. So it's your point to come out and sell yourself and the book. It's your product. We don't look at it as a business. We look at it as a spiritual thing, something we like to do for ourselves. But no, it's a product that we should sell. And in order to do that, we have to be in places where people come looking for things to read.
And how long have you been writing personally?
I've been writing so let me just say that I've been writing since I could write. But when you grow up in a family who thinks that, you can't make a living from writing, so you think of something else to do. So when you're younger, it's really cute, and your parents let you read your stories. But as you get into your teens and your 20s, they say, listen, you have to have a job that's going to pay you some money. So you kind of put things on the back burner. So I'll say that I've been writing since I was 6, but I was published in 2008. So that's a very, very long time in between.
And you write a very interesting genre. How did you discover that one?
I like suspense and I like erotica. So I thought, what better way than to put them together? And I think that most women don't like to talk in language that's not politically correct. And so we have romance novels that, talk about body parts like they were vegetables, right? And I don't understand that. And so I just decided that I'm not going to talk about a body part like it's a vegetable. I'm going to call it what it is. And when you do that, that takes your writing from romance to erotica. It all has to do with the words, really, because we can have the same scene and talk in a romance language, and the same scene and talk in erotic language, but it's the same scene. And I think that we need to talk more about what things really are, not what things we make up to be. And suspense, well, what better than to have, somebody running around killing people, or some suspenseful things happening in a family, and then have a little erotica thrown in. So that's kind of how I came up.
It sounds very interesting. I think I'll have to go check one of those books out.
But it's a trilogy. Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. Okay, so you wrote a trilogy, and do you find that when you write a trilogy that it was difficult, or did you plan the whole thing to be a trilogy?
I did, because I had a lot of interest in reading, but not War and Peace. And so basically what my friends and family and followers said, if you write War and Peace, we're not going to read it. It's too big. We're busy, we're working, chew it up a little bit and then spit it out. And I said, okay, so the first book is about 225 pages. The second book is about 325 pages. And then the third book is almost 400 pages, because it grabs everything and brings it together. And so it's done really, really well. The problem is when you're writing trilogies, you have to have the time to put them out in a timely manner. And when life gets in the way, then one book sits out there way too long. Now, that's what I've learned. But going forward, the books will come out in a more timely pattern.
Is this trilogy wrapped up?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was supposed to be. So at the end of the third novel, I was going to wrap up all the characters and kind of end it. But as I got towards the end, I had 3 particular endings of the book. And so this particular character, the head character, it's a Black female who's strong and verbal and sexual and smart. She will not be the prime character in book 4. There are some other very strong women that are in the trilogy that are going to pick up into book 4. So it won't be Eyeless Diamonds. Actually, it'll be Eyeless Diamonds, but it'll be called The House That Jack Built. And we will pick up another very strong character that was in those 3 books to begin the next trilogy.
I like your thinking. I think that sounds like it's, it like, as opposed to like a series. So you have the Jack Reachers, and they just, it's the same thing over and over again. You're able to keep this. You're able to keep the characters going, but you're able to shift it into another angle, and that does create more intrigue for the audience as well.
Right. And I don't write in chapters, so I write in segments. So you can put it down in the bathroom. You can put it down in the kitchen and come back. You don't have to worry about what chapter you're on. You just have to worry about what page you're on. So I don't have the ability to write in chapters. I don't have that cognitive, I guess, ability in my mind. So I just write. And it's more like segments, and they pick up each time one ends, something else begins.
And is each segment a certain amount of words, or does it vary?
Each segment is a certain amount of words? Well, yeah, because with a trilogy, you can't pick up 3 and know what's going on, right? So you have to really start at 1. I mean, 3 will stand alone, but you have so many holes in it. So you really, each segment, let's just say, so one of the characters is, for all intent and purposes, is pregnant in one segment. And then it will pick up with the gentleman that she got pregnant by in his story. And then it'll go back to, okay, she's pregnant. Now, how did all that happen, right? So each segment is a story in itself. You're right. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so there's multiple segments in each book, though.
Yes. You have to keep up.
Right, I got you.
You have to keep up.
I'm following you. Absolutely. So what's the hardest part about putting all this together, or writing in general?
to find the selfish time for yourself. You know, when you have children, when you have a partner, or if you have a husband or you have a significant other, they really have to understand that you need, I don't want to call it selfish time. Can we call it selfless time? Time
Absolutely.
to can we call it selfless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time to spend so you can put the characters together. You can remember who's doing what to who. And you have to understand that they need time too. But having people in your life who understand that you're a little bit nutty, first of all, because most writers and people who are creative, be it music, be it sculptures, be it painters, we all need selfless time. And so that's the hardest part, making people understand that if you don't answer the phone for an hour, it's not like I don't want to talk to you. It's just that I got this character on a bridge. I need to do something with that character. And so if I answer the phone, I lose that, right? I lose that
Mm-hmm.
whole moment, right? So I would say the selfless time is the hardest part about writing.
What do you think about marketing?
Marketing is hard because if you're self published, which a lot of people are now because, you know, being picked up by one of the big guys is hard to do if you're not famous or if you haven't written 30 books already. Um, Marketing is very, very hard. And that's what the Fresh Book Festival helps you with because you're going to have a bunch of people there who probably don't know who you are, but that's your avenue to tell them who you are and what you write. I usually have featured authors. This year it's called Reigning Men of Literature. And so those five guys will be featured and they get to come, they get their own workshops, they get their own 30-minute segment to talk about what they do and how they do it. And we have about 500 or 600 people who come through on that day, and about 500 or 600 people come through the night before. And so that's the part of the marketing, but it's up to you to keep it out there. You know, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, you know, however you have to do it. But it's not like, you know, 25 years ago when you sold your books out of the trunk of your car. That days are over. You really have to be out there and about and marketing yourself. So it's real important to come up from behind the door and make people understand who you are.
Do you need to also market for your festival, or do you have a committee that does that?
I have a committee, a volunteer committee, and I also have a grant through a city here in Florida who believes that literacy is a legacy. And so in order to leave a legacy, you got to put money behind it. And they are really encouraging to people that reading and understanding is very, very important. So I'm very blessed to have a city that understands how important it is to have a literal citizenship and making sure that people understand what goes on in the city. And the only way you can do that is if you can read.
There is truth in that statement. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm very proud. I'm not sure whether I can say what the city is. I can. I'm not sure how that is with your podcast. So we'll just leave it right there.
No problem. Donna Gray Banks, thank you so much for stopping by. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, freshbookfestivals.com is the email address. I am on Facebook as Donna M. Gray Banks, and I have a website which is freshbookfestivals.net and DonnaMGrayBanks.net. So I am reachable by anything that you can Google with my name in it.
Perfect. And are you ready to switch gears to our rapid fire questions?
I am. I'm ready.
All right. Do you like to play in the rain?
I do like to play in the rain. It is, yes, I do.
When was the last time you went to a museum?
The last time I went to a museum was the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., which is fairly new. And that was a year and a half ago, and it took 3 days to get through.
Wow. Was it fantastic?
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, you go through 5 different emotional levels, because I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 floors. So by the time you get to the 4th or 5th floor, you have to come down to what they call the tranquility room, because you can't think about all that, the atrocities that happen, not only to Black people, but immigrants from all over the world. And you really have to sit and thank the Creator for your blessings for a minute before you join the rest of the world. They make you go through this room, because it's a hard pill to swallow.
That sounds inspiring. And our
You've
final
never been there, or used to go? Yeah, go ahead.
Our final question: can you surf?
No, I cannot surf. I do swim, but I cannot surf. And even if I did surf, I would have second thoughts about surfing in the state of Florida, which is one of the shark bite capitals of the world. So I don't think I'd do it here, but other places maybe.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for stopping by. You have been listening to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast.
Thank you, Allison, for having me, and it has certainly been a pleasure to be a part of the podcast. Thank you.
Well, we are more than glad to have you on. Again, thank you for listening to the Florida Writer Podcast. Allison out. Donna M. Graybanks is the founder and director of the Fresh Book Festival, which is one of the largest book festivals held in Volusia and Flagler counties in the state of Florida. The festival began in 2011. Graybanks is the author of a successful trilogy, Isla's Diamonds 1, 2, and 3. She is currently working on her 4th novel, The House That Jack Built. For more information on the Fresh Book Festivals, visit them on the web at www.freshbookfestivals.net. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Florida Writer Podcast. For more information about the Florida Writers Association, visit us on the web, floridawriters.net.